Hello, and welcome to today's episode of In the Moment. I'm your host, Michael Clark, certified life coach, former therapist, and owner of Clark Coaching Services. I was a therapist for 8 years of my career and have been a life coach for almost 2 years now. And I just want to give back and share my knowledge and experience with you to try to help navigate this thing we call life. Thank you in advance for listening, and I'm so glad you're here. Hey everyone, it's Michael here. I want to start today by just saying, if you clicked on this episode, if you press play, there's a reason. Maybe you're in the middle of something really hard right now with your mom or dad. Maybe you've been watching their health decline. Maybe dementia has started creeping in. Or maybe you've already faced the heartbreak of losing a parent, and you're just trying to figure out what life looks like after that. Or maybe you're starting at this impossible decision of whether it's time to move your parents into assisted living. Wherever you are in this, I want you to know you're not alone. I'm sitting with you in this conversation, and we're going to walk through it together. Because here's the thing, when our parents start aging in ways that demand more from us, it doesn't just affect them. It doesn't just affect their bodies or their memory or their living situation. It shakes up our entire world. It changes family dynamics. It changes our energy, our emotions, even our finances. And the ripple effect touches everything: relationships, work, health, even how we see ourselves. And let's be honest, most of us are not ready for it. Nobody really hands us a manual on how to deal with the reality that our parents aren't invincible. Nobody says, hey, here's how to cope with the role reverse when you're suddenly the caregiver, the advocate, the one making the tough calls. So today, that's what we're going to explore. We're going to talk about the shock of that change, the pain of physical illness, the heartbreak of dementia, the deep grief of loss, and the impossible decision around assisted living. But I'm not here to overwhelm you. I'm here to hold space for all the emotions that come with this. The sadness, the anger, the guilt, the exhaustion, and yes, sometimes even the relief. And I'm also here to remind you that you don't have to carry this alone. So, as we go, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and let's just have a real, honest conversation. This is not me reading at you. This is us sitting down, eye to eye, talking about something real and very raw. You know, one of the hardest parts about this whole journey is the shock. That moment when it first hits you that things are different. For a lot of us, growing up, we saw our parents as invincible. They were the ones who fixed things, who provided, who seemed to always know what to do. Even if you did not have the perfect relationship with your parents, there's still that sense that they're steady and they are the constant in your life. And then one day you notice something. Maybe your dad doesn't walk as fast as he used to. Maybe your mom repeats the same story twice in a row. Maybe the doctor uses words you never thought you'd hear. Chronic, progressive, terminal. And suddenly you're hit with this wave of realization. They're not invincible. They're human. They're aging. And that changes everything. I'm going to try not to get choked up during this next part. I remember sitting in the doctor's office with my mom and seeing the nurse's face when she came in to let us know the doctor was on his way. Even though people in the medical field need to be constantly in a state of calm and assurance, The look on her face was one of sadness and empathy. The doctor came in, and there were words, but the only ones I heard were pancreatic cancer. And then there was silence. I couldn't even look at my mom. I immediately went into protecting and survival mode, asking a barrage of questions. When can we start chemo? What stage is it in? How long does she have? Is it operable? My mom trusted me and just let me do me and take care of her as she took care of me all my life as a single parent, caregiver, and best friend. After a round of IV fluids, she was dehydrated. I started calling the world, getting things organized, and sharing information and asking for help since this situation was unknown territory for me. On the way home, my mind finally spoke, and she said, "I don't want to start treatment." I didn't think I heard her correctly, so I asked her to repeat that, and sure enough, she said it again and added, "I will only do it for you." Still the caregiver, but I could not let her take care of me this time. So I agreed to her wishes. 2 weeks later, she was gone. September 17th, 2015. In that doctor's office was the first time I experienced shock. The shock does not live in your head. It hits your body too. It's a knot in your stomach when you realize your world is about to change. It's the tightness in your chest when you wonder how long you have left with them. It's that restless energy at night when you can't shut off the questions. What do I do? What's next? How do I handle this? Those feelings are normal. They're not weakness. They're not selfish. They're part of being a human being who loves someone and is watching them decline. So if you've ever felt guilty because you were frustrated or angry or even resentful at the changes you're now responsible for, you're not a bad son. You're not a bad daughter. You're a person under stress, watching life shift in a way you did not ask for. And you know what? It's okay to grieve the change itself, not just the illness, not just the memory loss, not just the logistics, but the change in who they are and who you get to be in their life. That grief is real and it deserves space. So if that's where you are right now in the shock, take a deep breath. You're not crazy for feeling overwhelmed. You're not weak for wishing it was not happening. You're not alone in thinking, how the hell do I do this? You're simply human, and this is part of the journey. Let's talk about when illness enters the picture. Because there's one thing when your parents slow down with age, that's hard enough. But when sickness moves in, it's like the rules change overnight. Maybe it's something sudden, like a stroke. Or maybe it's been building for years, a heart condition, diabetes, cancer, chronic pain. Whatever it is, illness does not just affect the parent's body. It changes the whole family system. Suddenly, you are not just a son or a daughter anymore. You're a caregiver. You're the advocate. You're the one juggling appointments, medications, insurance calls. Maybe you're the one taking time off work or rearranging your entire life to make sure they're okay. And that's exhausting. Physically exhausting, emotionally exhausting, financially exhausting. After the passing of my mom, I took a deep look at my life and faced the reality that life is short, too short to not live it fully. I was in a relationship that was, let's just say, far from perfect. But I kept going through the motions because I had a support system in my mom. But when she was gone, then so was the safe haven. Times like this can strain marriages. It can strain sibling relationships. It can even strain your relationship with yourself because you wake up one day and realize you've been running on fumes for months. And here's what I want you to hear. If you're exhausted, it does not mean you don't love them. It means you're human. You can adore your parent and still feel resentful that you had to cancel dinner with friends again. You can deeply be grateful for the years you've had with them and still cry in your car because it feels like too much. That does not make you selfish. It makes you honest. So what do you do with that? One thing is boundaries. And I know that can sound cold when we're talking about sick parents, but boundaries are not walls, they're bridges. They let you stay in the moment without drowning. Sometimes that means asking siblings to step in, even if they don't do it the way you would. Sometimes it means hiring outside help. Sometimes it means saying no to things you really wish you could do so that you don't collapse under the weight of it all, under the weight of the world. And I'll tell you something. When you set boundaries, you're not only protecting yourself, you're protecting the relationship. Because the more depleted you are, the more likely resentment is to creep in. And resentment is what erodes connection. So if you're listening to this and you're in that stage where illness has taken over, please hear me. You're allowed to feel tired. You're allowed to need breaks. You're allowed to admit that this is hard. That doesn't mean you're failing your parents. It means you're showing up as real, breathing, feeling person in a really tough situation. And then there's dementia. If you've ever walked through this, you know it's a unique kind of heartbreak because it's not just about the body failing. It's about the mind slipping away little by little. Maybe it starts small, repeating a story, forgetting where the keys are. But then it grows. They forget faces. They forget how to get home. Sometimes they forget who you are. And that is crushing. Because how do you grieve someone who is still physically here? How do you mourn the loss of a relationship that technically still exists? It's this strange, painful limbo. I've heard people say they feel guilty for mourning a parent who's alive. But here's the truth. That grief is real. You are losing pieces of them long before their body goes. You're losing conversations you'll never have again. You're losing shared jokes, memories, even the comfort of being known by them in the way you once were. And that hurts. It's okay that it hurts. What makes dementia so hard is that it doesn't just affect the parent, it affects the whole family. Siblings argue about care. One person carries more weight than the others. Spouses feel neglected. Grandchildren are confused. It's a ripple effect. And sometimes it feels like it's tearing the whole family apart. So what do? One of the most important things is to let yourself feel the grief without shame. To cry if you need to cry, to talk about it with people who understand, support groups, therapy, even a trusted friend who won't judge you. And sometimes it's about preparation, having rituals that ground you before and after visits. Maybe journaling, maybe a short walk, maybe a prayer, maybe sitting in the car and taking 5 deep breaths before you step inside. Those little things matter. They don't fix it, but they help you keep going. And here's something I want you to take with you. Even if your parent does not remember who you are, the love you've given them still matters. Even if they can't say it, even if they can't show it, that love is there somewhere. Your presence matters. Don't underestimate that. I want to pause here for a second, because if what I'm saying is landing with you and you're navigating one of these heavy transitions, I want you to know that I also share tools and help outside of this podcast. On my YouTube channel, I've got a whole collection of videos and over 6,500 views where I've gotten feedback where people have told me giving them 60 seconds of my time has helped them get through moments like we're discussing here. They're little bite-sized ways to help you through moments like this. Things like how to find resilience, how asking for help is actually a strength, ways to move through grief, and quick practices you can use to calm stress in the middle of a tough day. So if you're looking for something you can lean on in between these longer conversations and are not yet ready to reach out to me for one-on-one assistance, check out my YouTube channel. Those shorts are there for you whenever you need a quick reset. Now let's talk about one of the most painful realities, losing a parent. There's no way around it. When you lose a parent, the ground shifts under your feet. And it doesn't matter if you're young or if you're well into adulthood. That loss cuts deep. Because this is the person who's been there since the beginning of your story. Maybe they weren't perfect. Maybe the relationship was complicated, but they were there. And suddenly, they're not. I did not have a solid relationship with my father. He was not really in my life until I was in my teens, and then only once or twice a year. Even so, when he passed away from heart complications in 2021, I still grieved, and doubly so when the reality hit that the 2 people who gave me life were now gone. Grief does not follow rules. It's not neat. It's not linear. It's not pretty. One day you feel okay, and the next, something as small as a song on the radio or the smell of their old perfume can completely undo you. And on top of the emotional side, there's the practical side: estates, finances, funeral planning, family disagreements. It can be overwhelming, and sometimes those tasks leave you with very little space to actually grieve. What I want you to know is this: whatever you're feeling, it's okay. Anger, sadness, relief, regret. It's all part of grief. And yes, sometimes there's relief. If you've been a caregiver for years, if you've watched them suffer, part of you might feel a release when it ends. That does not mean you didn't love them. It means you're human, and it means the chapter of suffering is closed. Don't judge yourself for how you grieve. Some people cry every day. Some people go numb. Some throw themselves into work. Some can't get out of bed. There's no right way. There's just your way. And here's something I'll tell you from working with people through grief. It does not disappear. It changes shape. It softens. It moves around. But it's always a part of you. And that's okay. Because grief is the flip side of love. The depth of your grief is proof of the depth of your love. So if you're in the middle of that loss, be gentle with yourself. Don't rush it. Don't let anyone else's timeline dictate yours. This is your grief, your process, your journey. Now let's talk about assisted living. This one might be the hardest of all because it requires a decision. And it's a decision that comes with guilt, conflict, and second guessing. When you start to realize your parent cannot live safely at home anymore, it hits in a whole new way. Suddenly, you're not just dealing with illness or memory loss. You're dealing with the reality of uprooting their life. You might hear their voice in your head. Don't you dare put me in a home. You might fight with siblings who have different opinions. You might sit awake at night wondering if you're betraying them. But here's the truth. Choosing assisted living is not abandonment. It's not failure. It's love expressed differently. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do is make sure they're safe, cared for, and surrounded by professionals who can meet needs you cannot meet alone. Sometimes bringing in that extra layer of support allows you to shift from being the overwhelmed caregiver back to being the son, the daughter, the child who can actually have moments of connection instead of moments of burnout. And yes, it's still hard. There'll be tears. There'll be guilt. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means you're human, facing one of the most difficult choices life can hand you. So if you're in that place right now, I just want to remind you, you are not betraying your parent by choosing care. You're honoring them by making sure their needs are met in the best way possible. It's time to take a breath. The truth is, all of these situations, illness, dementia, death, assisted living, they don't just affect your parent. They ripple out into your whole life. They affect your marriage, your kids, your work, your health, your sense of self. And sometimes the weight of it all can make you feel like you're drowning. But here's the reminder I want to leave you with. You matter too. Your well-being matters. Your rest matters. Your joy matters. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take those small moments to care for yourself. Even if it's just 5 minutes of breathing, a short walk, reaching out to a friend, allowing yourself to rest without guilt, those small things add up and they keep you steady enough to keep going. One of the reasons I set up my free bi-monthly guided meditation sessions is to give you that chance to just breathe and take control back of your life, even if just for 30 minutes. As we wrap up today, I just want to say, if you're in the middle of any of this, you are carrying a weight that few people truly understand, and you're doing the best you can. Remember, this journey does not come with a manual. but you don't have to go through it empty-handed. That's part of why I created resources outside of this podcast too. On my Clark Coaching Services YouTube channel, you'll find support, short, supportive videos that meet you right where you are. Whether you're struggling with transitions, working on resilience, finding strength and asking for help, or learning ways to calm stress. So after this episode, give yourself permission to take care of yourself and check them out. Let them be little reminders that you are not alone in this. And most importantly, be gentle with yourself. This road is hard, but it's also an opportunity to deepen compassion for your parents, for your family, and for yourself. Thanks for spending this time with me today. Until next time, take care of you and keep remembering you don't have to carry the weight of the world all by yourself.